Hey everyone, and welcome back to the COD Zombies map retrospective series. In my last video I looked back at Kino de Toten and Nacht and Toten. Both videos are on screen in the description if you want to go check those out. But it showed that many people have been introduced to COD Zombies at various points throughout the series with different games. But for many people, the start of their adventure was actually in Black Ops 2 with TranZit in this very broken Earth. TranZit, also known as Green Run, was the first on-disc map for Black Ops 2. TranZit was a fresh start for zombies and as the continuation of the zombies map Moon, where in the main Easter egg, the original Ultimus crew blew up the Earth. So with a whole new broken Earth also came with some new utilities, characters and features. And in this video, as TranZit is such a unique map because it's one of the biggest zombies maps of all time, I'm going to be splitting this video into the different areas of TranZit. So let's begin our journey with the bus depot.
All persons waiting in the Speedway's bus line's terminal must be holding a valid ticket.
So the bus depot is where you spawn onto the map for the first time. Weirdly, this is one of the only maps where you actually have idle zombies already spawned into the map, which won't attack you until you attack them. If you shoot your gun or attack them, they sort of like come to life. Quick revive is here and parts for the turbine. And again, TranZit is a very unique map because you can actually either open the first door with points or you can use the turbine to open the side door for free, placing it in your inventory for later use. When outside, when you actually get to the main part of the map, you are greeted to a scorched, broken earth covered in fog, lava and more. The atmosphere on display here is unlike any other map in Zombies history. TranZit, like I said earlier, features fog, pools of lava which can actually harm the player and kill you, ash in the air, as well as, more importantly, the bus. Now, when you think of TranZit, or if you've ever played TranZit, the first thing you think of is the bus. The bus works as a defendable platform where you can ride the bus from location to location. However, the only downside here is that the bus cannot be called to a specific location, but instead you will have to wait for it to arrive, which has got me and countless others before me killed. The only other mode of transportation are the teleporter portals, where you essentially get a denizen on your head, go to one of these and it creates a portal. However, the downside to this is that it will not take you to where you want to go. It will take you to another random portal location, meaning that you could end up anywhere and be killed by zombies. Next up is the tunnel. The bus does not stop at the tunnel, but as it's not an actual sort of main destination, but does house some important parts such as the part for the jet gun, which I'll cover later, and has the M16 wall buy. Denizens will get you here, and how could I not mention one of the most annoying enemies in all of Call of Duty Zombies? As I mentioned earlier with the portals, the denizens are sort of a zombified mole-like creature that attack any player outside of the map in the fog. They essentially jump on your head and claw and scratch your eyes out relentlessly until you are downed. They can be killed easily via shooting them, or due to their size and quickness, they essentially can easily down you if you're not prepared or paying attention, but you can actually sort of get them in a few hits with the galvanuckles. The tunnel's not really ideal for training or for, like long map runs, but it's a decent place just to quickly visit, get the parts and nip out again. The diner, arguably the most iconic location within TranZit, is a mixture of an American diner and a gas station. The diner houses Speed Cola, the MP5, and a secret entrance to acquire the Galvanuckles, whereas the gas station features most of the buildables to build the zombie shield and houses the mystery box. However, due to the actual timing of the bus leaving on its own, you can only really get a few pulls of the box here before the bus leaves you for good, which means that you'll have to walk or wait for the bus to come back. The farm is up next, and in my opinion this is the most disappointing location, as there's not really a lot to do here. There's a sentry turret buildable, which is a sort of like portable sentry turret on a lawnmower, which isn't actually any good. There's a house, a barn and a cottage with a bus upgrade part inside of the barn, and the only thing that's actually here of any use is the fridge. The fridge was a new feature to COD Zombies at the time, which you could store a weapon in it to save for future playthroughs and runs. These weapons stowed could also be used in conjunction with Buried and Die Rise. Next up is the Cornfields. These are where the denizens are at their most annoying tendencies, as they'll appear quite a lot in the Cornfields. The Cornfields are 90% covered in fog, but include a few interesting landmarks. I mean, obviously you have the actual cornfields themselves, which you can get lost in. It's sort of like a cornfield maze. Then we have the prototype, also known as Nacht and Toten, hidden in the actual cornfields. It is the actual starting area of Nacht and Toten, which was a nice little Easter egg and actually contains an important part for the jet gun here. Another location within the cornfields is the pylon, which you have the nav card table used for the super Easter egg. So essentially what you do here is you'd essentially collect nav cards in each map. You'd put the one from Buried in TranZit, the one from TranZit in Die Rise, and the one from Die Rise into Buried. They all have essentially nav card tables that you'd have to build in each map. And depending on if you've done the rest of the Easter eggs and chosen a particular path, you then got the super Easter egg in Buried. Next up is the power station, and it's our next stop on our journey on the bus, with a Broken Arrow underground secret facility used to trap the Avogadro. The Avogadro is the main sub-boss enemy type who is very annoying at times and can easily be dispatched if you've got the Galvanucle similar to the denizens. The Avogadro will fire shocks of electricity at you and will try to kill you along with regular zombies who will not essentially interact with the Avogadro whatsoever. The Avogadro can also shock you whilst you're rebuilding wall buys and barriers and whatnot. And the power station also houses another jet gun part, the AK-74U wall buy, and the portable trap electrical buildable, which again is not a great buildable, as many of the buildables on TranZit aren't very good at all, as well as featuring a buildable power switch for the first time featured on any map. And of course it wouldn't be the power station if I didn't talk about the new perk to this map, being Tombstone Soda. Tombstone was essentially made in mind, essentially if you go down and you actually die, a little tombstone icon appears. It's a sort of power up, and what you do is then collect this tombstone and you will actually have all your perks, gear and everything you had on you back. The only problem is Tombstone only really works in co-op, and it wasn't until Cold War where it was made viable for solo play as well. In fact, I'm pretty sure if you play solo, Tombstone doesn't even appear at all. Next up is the log cabin. The log cabin is next with more of a secret location similar to the Cornfields, as it's located off the normal path between town and the power station. The log cabin only contains the Bowie knife as well as another part for the jet gun, but overall it is a nice little secret to discover and rewards you for exploring the map even in the deep fog. And finally we have the town. This location was advertised as the main feature of TranZit, the main location to visit. Jug is here with Stamina Up, a bowling alley, a bank and the main streets outside. At the town there are more lava locations than any other place on the map and houses a wider play space. The big problem with town is that there is now, there's no reason to actually hold out here long term. I can't see you doing that on TranZit. There's no wall buys, meaning that if you run out of ammo for your box weapon and the box isn't there, you're kinda screwed and you'll have to rely on max ammos. And there's no wall buys apart from Semtexes. And to get to Pack-a-Punch, you need to place 2 turbines, which in my opinion is one of the worst methods for Pack-a-Punch, if not the worst method for Pack-a-Punch in the entire series, meaning that you have to place 1 turbine in the power station and 1 turbine in town, meaning that on solo this is really difficult, because what will happen is you'll have a zombie that will break the turbine, meaning that you have to go all the way back, potentially walking, to get another turbine. But in my opinion, Town was the best individual survival map outside of the main TranZit map. In terms of different appearances, obviously we had Black Ops 2, and TranZit is very unique because of the size and the scope of the map. It was actually split up into a world map, where at the first time ever had selectable locations on it. You had the bus depot, farm and town, which are all made into individual survival maps, with things like perk locations and wool buys being moved around accordingly, as well as diner being a turned location. And we also have TranZit appearing in Black Ops 4. It appeared in Black Ops 4 via Blackout. It was in the it was actually on the Battle Royale map. The actual diner location was there, as well as a few different references to TranZit in Blackout as well. Again, the actual diner from TranZit also appeared in the Black Ops 4 map Remnant during the season known as Operation Apocalypse Z, and this map's really cool because it's essentially a museum filled with all sorts of artifacts from all the different zombies maps. Like on this map you've also got Moon, Voyage of Despair and quite a few others, but a main sort of area featuring lava, as well as the bus with Ted inside of the bus, as well as the diner, is playable. And although this isn't a official appearance, obviously we have the appearance in the COD mobile game as well, but we also have a rumour of a remastered version of TranZit Buried and Die Rise. Apparently were all completed during Cold War's development, but were never officially released. And according to former and current Treyarch employees, as well as, data miners and whatnot, apparently a version of TranZit still exists, officially made for Cold War, but again it has just never been released. And according to recent rumours, as of writing this video in 2023 in October, we might actually get in Treyarch's next game some remastered zombies and multiplayer maps specifically from Black Ops 2, so again we'll have to wait and see. Set after the events of Moon's ending, TranZit takes place in Hanford, Washington in the United States of America, on an apocalyptic Earth which, due to 3 rockets filled with element 115 inside them, have now broken up and distorted the Earth and turned most of the inhabitants into the undead. In TranZit, we play as Abigail Misty Briarton, a southern badass woman who loves bar fights and knife fights and that sort of thing. Malton Johnson, a know-it-all nerd who focuses on science as well as gun knowledge, who actually worked at Nuketown's nuclear testing facility and can also be found on that map during Alpha Omega. Next up we have Samuel J. Stuhlinger, a conspiracy theorist who, due to eating zombie flesh, can now hear Richtofen in the ether speaking to him, and Russman, a homeless man with memory loss who actually used to be a Broken Arrow operative before the rockets fell. TranZit features all 4 of these characters trying to survive, whilst also helping either Maxis or Richtofen, with Maxis being the canon choice, and after TranZit they eventually travel the world and make their way to Die Rise. In terms of Easter egg, the map of course contains a main quest Easter egg. In TranZit it's called the Tower of Babel, which features actually for the first time ever in zombies 2 choosable paths, being obviously Dr. Maxis, which requires turning the power off, and Richtofen's, which is kept, where you actually keep the power on. But the player must be playing as Samuel J. Stuhlinger to be able to hear Richtofen's instructions. In my opinion, the much easier path is Richtofen's, because obviously you've got the power on, but if you acquire the EMP device from the box, you can actually complete this Easter egg on round 1 or round 2, even on solo. And like I said, it can be cheated upon to complete on solo, but sadly the main quest Easter egg is very lackluster, with only a power-up drop as a ending reward and nothing else, other than, the actual achievement. The map also has a musical Easter egg by hitting 3 teddy bears around the map, one in Bus Depot, one in the farm, and another in town, to get the song Carry On, sung by Clark S. Nova. An old TV set in the cottage of the farm area will also play radio messages regarding the group known as The Flesh and how survivors have actually survived the new zombie apocalypse, and they also reveal much more about Stuhlinger's past with the group known as The Flesh. Now it's time for another exciting instalment of Trivia Time. This segment will essentially be going over random facts from the map. Did you know the main music song Carry On by Clark S. Nova and Kevin Sherwood was not actually the original Easter egg song for TranZit? Well, internally in development, it was actually going to be I'ma Try It Out, remixed by Jack Hall and Trent Reznor, and the song is actually by Skrillex, so the map would have featured a song by Skrillex as the main Easter egg song. However, this was basically a placeholder for development, and if you roll all the updates back to essentially the pre-day one patch on your device, this song will actually be playable on TranZit legitly. Did you know also, anywhere in the map, if you look at the reflection in a sniper scope such as the DSR-50 for example, you can actually see TranZit as it was before the events of Moon, with the 3 rockets landing and obviously devastating the Earth. In the town area, if the player pays close attention to a random traffic light, a Morse code is displayed and it reads as follows: "Help me so I can help you. The future is ours to destroy. Power is knowledge. Go to the light. Stay close to me. Energy can only be transformed." Before all of these were in the future debunked, TranZit at the time had loads of wild and weird speculation theories, and content creators on YouTube and people on Reddit were going absolutely bonkers as to things such as a secret Easter egg, a secret super Easter egg involving the bowling alley with sort of like a golden handle being accessed in some way, and then obviously the Morse code which I just mentioned in town also played into this. You had Bus Route B, which people speculated to be a whole new bus route which would take the player to an entirely new area, and many more things like horses being playable on the map and things like that, which all sadly never actually existed and was just speculation on behalf of the community. In the Cornfields area, you can actually hear a ghostly laughter of a little girl which people speculate to be Samantha, and it's best heard underneath the pylon. If you have no denizens or other players around, you can actually hear it quite well. So in conclusion, TranZit is widely considered one of the worst zombies map of all time, due to the fog impairing players' vision, the denizens just being really annoying, the bus being more of a hindrance rather than something the player can actually use effectively to get around the map, the portals and teleportation being completely random, the Avogadro being extremely annoying, the method of turning on the power as well as Pack-a-Punch being underwhelming, and speaking of which, a underwhelming Easter egg and overall story in general, to be honest. But it's not all doom and gloom, however. TranZit, in my opinion, has one of the most interesting premises for a zombies map, and is a direct continuation of Moon's incredible Easter egg ending. And in terms of atmosphere, you know, with the lava, the fog, the ash in the air, the sort of silence because there aren't really many survivors around, it's a really interesting map. And did you know this was also Treyarch's first attempt at an open world zombies map, and due to the graphical limitations of the Xbox 360 and PS3, they had to add features such as the fog and denizens to actually hide graphical limitations for things like textures popping in, buildings popping in and whatnot. But the what if possibilities here are endless, because what if TranZit was developed for better hardware, because you could essentially tweak things around. And we actually have this being made, with fans actually now creating a full-on from the ground up remake for TranZit for Black Ops 3 Custom Zombies, with an official remaster from Treyarch rumoured to be in the works, as I mentioned earlier in the video. But again, we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, thank you so much for making it to the end. I know this has been a rather long one. For more COD Zombies map retrospectives, don't forget to check out the channel. And if you want to go back and play TranZit, I suggest doing it just because it's a fun little playthrough. And it's this video, I've had to play TranZit to get the gameplay footage, and it was just nice to go back and look at TranZit because I remember this was one of the most hyped up Zombies maps pre-launch of all time. And unfortunately, TranZit missed the mark and then some. Anyway, thank you for watching, and for more Zombies content, I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.